everyone to the East region here for the Countdown Cup Qualifiers presented by Xfinity. Vicky Kitty here with Jaws, and Jaws, we're moving on to a new stage and with some hero bands while we're at it.
Yeah, a few hero bands for the Countdown Cup, Vicky. We're seeing Echo taken off the table, we're seeing Sigma gone, Ashe gone, Lucio gone as well. A couple of different archetypes that are actually banned there. Of course, Rush with Lucio, Double Shield with Sigma. Although you can run a bit of a weird double shield variant with Arista and Rhine, probably not going to happen. But with Echo off the table and Ashe as well, if you haven't watched North America already, there's a lot of ball being played. There's a lot of Pharah. Tracer Sombra is kind of the jam right now.
Yeah, you can see Echo, Ashe, Sigma, Lucio, like you just said, they're gone. They're not going to be here, you know? So we're going to be seeing the dive without the Lucio probably. I mean, again, after what we had seen earlier today, Jaws, we saw that Sombra Tracer composition coming out, rolling out with the ball. No double shield because no Sigma, no Slambulance meta because no Lucio. So with these hero bands, I'm expecting these teams to kind of get their hands on the meta faster, actually, than the other stages has kind of forced everyone to adapt around, because I feel like when it comes to that first week, it's mostly these teams that are just trying to get the upper hand on the meta first.
Yeah, a lot of the time we see in the Eastern region, teams play ball and a lot more dive, less double shield like we've seen in the North American region. So I can imagine they're already well versed in how to play this sort of thing. We've seen a lot more Pharah from teams like Chengdu in recent times. We've seen a ton from Shanghai as well. I mean, not a bad thing whatsoever, Vicky. It means they're going to be able to get right into the action ASAP. Of course, Spark and Seoul Dynasty are our first series this evening.
Yeah, and you know what, guys? While you're here, there have been so many great videos submitted into the June Joust Frag contest, and we want to keep that tradition alive. So we've actually narrowed down the Summer Showdown Frag Frag contest competition down to only 5 videos. So we actually need your help to vote at blizzard.wishpond.com/summer showdown, so you guys could help us out and vote for those videos, because the winner actually gets to walk out with like $3,000 as a grand prize. So make sure to go there and show your support. So yeah, I definitely would be happy walking away with that $3K.
Yeah, not bad whatsoever. That's a nice chunk of change. Okay, let's get into the series, though, Vicky. Let's have a look at what Fizz has been doing in recent times. Of course, Seoul and Spark. Seoul definitely have the upper hand in this series, Vicky. Fizz's McCree are looking so strong. Out of all 11 players with over 120 minutes played, he is sitting at first in hero damage, first in Deadeye kills, third in final blows, third in limbs. Like, Fizz's McCree unstoppable right now. Although I can imagine we're going to see Seoul. If they do want to run Kree, great, put Fitz on it. But we have a meta now that's looking at Tracer, Sombra. Like, this is a good meta right now if they go with this NA kind of style, which I can imagine they will, because they've, like I mentioned before, they've been playing the ball, they've been playing the Sombra, the Tracer, Pharah, like all these things that we haven't seen a crazy ton when double shield was a thing in North America. We've seen splashes here and there in the Eastern region. Gesture can play ball to you on the Diva, Prophet, Tracer. What more can you ask for really from him? Fitz, of course, on the Sombra. Dynasty, I got high hopes for them.
Yeah, actually, this team, I feel like, has been flying under the radar a little bit. I feel like they've been living in the Dragon shadow, so I feel like this is their time to shine for this month. I mean, we're already at the end of our ropes here, Jaws, but while we get started with the Dynasty, why don't we take a look at the Spark? You talk about the end of the season. I mean, look at the starting lineup here for the Spark, a team that has gone through so much change despite actually reaching that end.
Yeah, that change is very scary, Vicky. Very, very scary. You're changing your coaching staff a lot of the time. We've seen recent changes. Takayaki, Godspeed, gone. Coaching staff kind of all over the place right now. They had some changes a few months ago. They've now recently had changes. Of course, Paijan has gone, and Mentalist now disappearing too. Like, Vicky, it's very hard to see what the Spark are really doing halfway through the season. I'd be worried if I was a Spark fan, honestly. Although a lot of the players have come into even just this season from contenders or from last season. It's like, wow, okay, Spark looking so good. Their roster's massive, but they've cut down some of their roster. They've trimmed a lot of the players out. They had basically 2 full rosters coming into this season, they had a actual complete Chinese-speaking roster, and then they had a complete Korean roster. But now they've taken Godsby away. Takiyaki's disappeared too. We're seeing a lot more Shy come in as well. We're seeing it's him and Godsby kind of sharing the reins a little bit. Of course, with Godsby gone now, Shy's going to be a permanent fixture, and thank God, because Shy is just an unbelievable beast on the server. But making these chop and changes so rapidly, I really wonder how it's like in the Spark camp right now, Vicky.
Especially at the end, though, Joss. I mean, if I could recall correctly after their last news, I think they have 2 assistant coaches and only 1 data analyst. And again, making these drastic changes at the end of the season could be, it just puts a lot of pressure on these players.
Oh man, it wouldn't be the start of the Eastern region without a few pauses, I think. That's a nice little welcome back into the Countdown Cup. Fantastic. Yeah, definitely. Let's talk about that. You're getting rid of a lot of your coaching staff, then you're getting rid of players. You're slimming the roster down, which in one mind is actually pretty good because, hey, you got less players to work with. You can make very, very small adaptations to your roster when you kind of need them, when different metas arise with the hero pools. But then, on the other hand, it's like, oh, actually, we're losing a lot of very, very talented players. Takiyaki being one of them. One of my favorite tank players to come into the Overwatch League this year as a rookie. I'll be pretty worried about that. But then on top of that, you got coaching changes too. And it's like, okay, so maybe they're trying to get some stronger coaches in to make them have this final hurrah for the end of the Overwatch League season. But then it's like, oh, we've been working for so long, so hard to try and get things working, and now we're changing. Spark need to turn something around here. Maybe they will. Gushway's on the ball, though. I love to see it.
Yeah, and already Creative taking a lot of that damage, but MCD is the first one to go down, and the support lineup is already gone from the Spark. They're looking great here already for the Seoul Dynasty as the point is going to unlock, and you already see Prophet making his way over to flip that.
Yeah, there you go. Gesture and Gushway, of course, playing completely different tanks there. The Monkey and the Ball. The Ball wants to kind of roll around, disrupt the backline, jump on people that have the Discord orb on them. Gesture, he's going to have to watch out just a little bit, but because that Discord orb does a lot to you, especially you have Shy and Architect just destroying you. MCD, though, doing a bit of destroying of his own. Prophet's already dead.
Oh, no. Yeah, Fitz actually punishing him for that, getting a headshot onto MCD, thinking that he could get the revenge onto Profits here. Creative also getting hacked, and when you see Shine Architect on that Sombra Tracer, that's how you know you have to worry about that backline. Shy already almost reaching EMP, but he's hacked himself. Fitz is also low. Architect is the first to go down here for the Spark, and the EMP has been activated. Yup, hits Animo, and he's actually out of the fight because of that. He goes down, and Creative is going to get hacked right afterwards. Great follow from that, and Shy getting those hacks actually right after the EMP.
That was a crazy EMP from Shy there, hit everybody on the point from Dynasty. I think they kind of knew it was coming up, and you could kind of see them scatter a little bit, try and get around the walls to avoid getting hacked, but it wasn't quite good enough. And Shy's been spawn camped by Fitz. Not great. No, not great at all. Point is being camped now by Dynasty.
And Fitz could come back with that EMP too. Now that the Spark are a little distracted on that. By the spawn, here comes the EMP though. MCD is safe and he has a Transcendence. They can't follow up until you eats that pulse bomb from Architect and finishes him off at the same time. With Animo having that rally though, he actually gets, he backs off a little bit. He actually gets taken out by IDK. And the Spark are winning in terms of this number advantage, but I like this placement from the Seoul Dynasty. They're disengaging. They know that they have to.
Yeah, unbelievable response there to you. Not only, like you said, eats the pulse bomb, but then instantly kills the Architect on the return too. That's a lot of your heavy hitting damage if you're the Spark gone. Ideally, Architect and Shy kind of team up, trying to take down Animo, or at least pressure Creative out too. Speaking of which, I just watched Creative Health Bar almost disappear to 0. I think that was almost a full right click from MCD.
So lethal with that too, especially when the Discord's on there. Jester does have that primal, but Prophet's still popping off here. You gotta have that nano boost. You see him going all the way in. IDK, he gets anti, he gets taken out by Bernard. Following up right there. MCD also is gonna fall, and that's both the support lineup for the Spark gone again. And, oh, he's gonna make it back in time. All right, it's won. We just literally won.
Heal me, please. Okay, he's finally alive. There's still a Spark control the point. They're gonna be able to come back with EMP.
You have to. Fitz is going to match that, though, here against Shy. Bernard's out of the mech, forced to back off. Gonna try to go for that as Fitz does demech him. He does have that EMP again, as I mentioned. This is gonna be crucial here because Spark already at 92%. 3, though, rather 2, were found. Jester goes down from that. Currently, the Spark, while having that control, they're playing very patiently at the same time, your Jaws.
Oh my god, what a hack and a boop. Unbelievable tag team duo there from Animo and Fitz. Transcendence is going to be forced, though, from the Spark.
A nail in the coffin, and Fitz does have that EMP. Here comes Architect with the pulse bomb, taking out Creative. Animo's gonna get hit with that Discord, or he has to back off. He's the only support here left from the Dynasty to sustain them. And with overtime taken away here, Jaws, the Spark, they've lost their DPS, and they will lose the point too.
Yeah, they have to back all the way off. They're going to be kind of happy, though. They have got Rally. The press queue to win button is going to roll on forward to the point. And the only thing Seoul Dynasty can really do about that is maybe hopefully build up a self-destructor, split the forces, or even apply the nano boost to someone that's getting dove on, probably Gesture. But last time around, we did see Prof with the nano. Pretty decent. He half eclipse MCD if he gets anywhere near him. But the peel from Banar's also been extremely good. It's all about this Rally and how to you use that self-destructor to try and split the forces. It's going to be final fight here now before Spark go for this engage.
Especially if it's going to be an elongated fight here, EMP could be crucial. Shy is the one closer to the EMP if Fitz doesn't get something moving. He's taking a lot of damage already. Take a look at 2U's talk about the Diva Bomb that he also has to control some of that space, and time is ticking. Currently, the Spark already making their way over to the point. Here comes Architect building up into that Pulse Bomb, trying to pressure Creative.
Oh, Chris discorded as well. He's going low. Gesture gets nanoed.
Oh, Creative is down here. Architect following up from that Discord. Meanwhile, Jester, he does have that nano boost here, like you mentioned. Architect trying to find that opening. The Diva Bomb to quickly reset for 2U. And it was taking so much damage, he gets taken out too. These follow-ups have been consistent from the Spark and falling from these Discord orbs. Now overtime is ticking away, and the Spark are cleaning up. Soul right around with it.
Oh my word. Again, Architect's doing so much work in the backline. Creative is discorded, and as soon as his health dropped below 90%, the rest of the Spark knew they could just jump on it and kill him. Like, the burst healing really isn't there for the break. Yeah, you can pack them, but it's not like an instant heal like a grenade is. And you can dive in on there as well as Banar, and just defense matrix Creative. Just bathe him in the defense matrix so he can't really receive much healing or peel, and it'll eat the nade and it'll eat the sleep if he does try to peel for himself. Like, that was a wonderfully executed dive there from the Spark. Architect cleaning up house. Both supports went down to his name, and hey, there you go. Spark, they're starting off strong with 1 point on the board on control. They do roll out on Gardens, and this is the map I thought we'd see some fire on, but it does look like it's just Gesture and Gushway going head-to-head once again on the ground. However, Gesture changing over from the Monkey to the Ball. I think Ball's a little bit better here. There's a lot more. There's a few more avenues where you can just kind of roll through people. Plus stalling on the point too. You can just swing around, ring around the Rosie. So you're almost impossible to kill without someone sleeping in.
Yeah, and with that, Profits being on the far could access those side windows to approach the point, and also could put in some pressure onto Shine Architect. Talking about Architect, he put some pressure on himself, actually. Gets caught in 4K. He gets caught falling off the map. And with that being said, though, they've tried to res Fitz, which they do successfully, and MCD was waiting to get that charged up click on him. He's gone from the fight. Creative also getting the small bit of damage onto Shy to make sure the Shy has to meet him right back into that spawn. Meanwhile, the Spark, they're not giving up this point, though. Despite that rough start from Architect, they're still holding on, Jaws.
Yeah, they are holding on ever so slightly. Profit being in the sky and being on the point as well is just such a danger. I mean, IDK ends up going down. Unlucky. That is definitely going to be the point now for the Dynasty. There it is. There's almost no way you can assault this point if you're the Spark. You have to worry about Profit this entire time, and because he's sitting so far back as well, it's up to Spark to kind of overextend past those missiles that are coming in, past the rockets, past the damage booster rockets at that as well. And Profit's very safe. There's not really an Ashe on and off angle of McCree there as well. Of course, Ashe is not even in the hero pool, so you can't even play her. There's not much to really contest him there at all. So it was on Spark to just kind of run past the front line to try and pressure Profit, stop him doing damage. He's got Barrage, he's ready to rock and roll.
And look at that, he is able to access that here, and he still finds IDK again, despite the Matrix coming out from Bernard, because they pressured Bernard all at the same time too. Jester making sure, huge EMP, finding 4 on the Seoul Dynasty. Shy making that comeback immediately for the rest of the Spark. With this Diva Bomb, it's not going to be enough to create that space, because Architect and Gushway are already on the point.
Whoa. Architect bent himself around the wall there like he was a bullet from Wanted. Managed to get the melee kill onto the Mercy, perfectly timed. Like you said, Shy bringing this back into the fight, but big stall from the Dynasty still.
Big stall, yeah, because Spark have not been able to flip this once, despite that. You know why here? Because of the fact that Jester's just been that threat, so has Prophet, and with the boost too that Prophet is getting, Jaws, it's so difficult here for the Spark to really fully clean up that point.
Yeah, you can roll out his ball like super quickly. We're not on the experimental patch that's currently in the game where Ball's grappling hook is on cooldown when he comes out of spawn. So Gesture's able to throw himself on the point to you as well. Good stall tactic. 63% not bad. Fit setting up for an EMP though. Looks like they want to go fairly early.
Fitz being a little safe, wants to get that EMP, lands that EMP right now, finding 3 Bernard. They need to go in on this. He's taking a lot of damage, and he gets defect, or rather, he gets reset now with that Diva Bomb. 2U eats that Pulse Bomb now from Architect's attempt. And the Spark are still taking control over that point. Look at the way that Dynasty actually just disengaged.
I don't know why you're rallying there. You won the fight. What are you rallying for, IDK? I don't know what you're doing. It doesn't really make much sense. I mean, a bit of a waste. No, Seoul Dynasty are going to be happy with that. As soon as they hear that rally noise when they have 2 dead already, you're like, okay, sweet. They don't rally more. So Prophet can now jump in, kill people even quicker with this barrage. I can imagine they're going to save up for Nano once again, though. Either a hack onto the Diva here or even a hack onto the Brig. Oh! Or even just killing of the Translocate is perfect.
That was great awareness there from Fitz. Jester gets Architect with the mines. The EMP hitting Jester, getting that revenge, and Prophet letting it loose with the rocket barrage. Backing up a little bit, just creating some of that space, taking down MCD. That was so worth it. The Nano Boost won't be online, and neither will IDK. The Spark have lost their supports, and the Dynasty are making their way over. Getting hacked though, Fitz manages to find Gushway.
Ooh, look at him go. Sombra, Nano Charge, left click, just firing the weapon. I think it's music to my ears. I don't know what that sound. Oh my god, Jester just knocked you off the map. Okay, hey, didn't see that. I was just thinking about
Mobility,
that
what?
sound from the Nano, from the Nano Sombra. I don't know, it just sounds so good in my ears for some reason. 82% on the board for Dynasty. They've got EMP. The Spark are in a rough situation. This Nano is going to have to save who's EMP. Gesture or Bernard are going to be the key targets to make sure Prophet has a free time. This EMP could be big though. They're all going White Room as well, so they're all going to be grouped up for this. Fitz, maybe a little bit of trouble. Does blink away though. He's going to be good. But he's actually found in the base. They could chase him down, but they don't really have enough time. Overtime is here.
They're scared, yeah. They need to go right back. Overtime ticking away. Gushway getting that pick onto Jester here. Big anti-bolt onto both Fitz and 2U. 2U making that reset with that Diva Bomb, trying to get right back into it. Fitz taking some damage, forced to back off, but look at that. They're able to flip the point. We're going to get another overtime on our hands with the Spark reaching 99%.
Yeah, that EMP didn't quite hit the mark either. Creative ends up going down, very nice, but Creative should be back for the next fight and the final fight. Another EMP hits Prophet. Okay, again, just trying to stall out and stagger out these kills on the Dynasty. It's going to go fairly well. Prophet's going to have to just rush back to the point to try and make an impact here.
And he didn't get a map lead already here from the get-go, Jaws, and the Spark are doing just that. Staggering Seoul Dynasty, and they can't even touch the point. First map going in favor to the Hangzhou Spark.
Wow, the Dynasty really needed a quick reset there, but Spark made it so difficult for them. Sending out an EMP that late into the fight, you're like, okay. If the Spark had a little bit more wiggle room there, in terms of their ult percentage, if they were a little bit further behind, it might have been a wasted of an EMP. But because they were on like 95%, Vicky, just staggering out these kills onto Dynasty, it was perfect. Prophet was nowhere to be seen because of that solo EMP. That last fight couldn't have been impacted by him at all. He had the barrage coming up too. Maybe a nano barrage could have saved it, but because they killed Creative and then they killed Prophet, Seoul Dynasty was so late to get back to the point to make any impact.
And a pretty dominating performance already coming out from the Spark, taking both those rounds pretty flawlessly from right underneath Seoul Dynasty. So with that map already in their pocket, we're going to be moving on to map number 2 on the other side of this break. Don't go anywhere because we're here, the APAC region for the Overwatch League.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League, and by IBM, the official cloud and AI partner of the Overwatch League.
Nearly pushed Marvel into it. That was a nice attempt by Gooseway, actually. They tried.
Oh, the Shadow's huge. Takes down 4.
Yeah,
That was a nice shatter.
That is a clean team fight win for Seoul.
The D-Max still waiting on to pulse bomb. Spark with the advantage. Animo knocks Bernard to the pit. Massive from Animo, but he pays price Shy with 2. Shy coming alive towards the end.
Oh no, the boop onto Tuyu, and it looks like they're going to get it across the line.
Dying early, gets isolated. Is with 2 on the Spitfire, and he's to the flank, Noah. This is so scary. A charge up Spitfire, still not stopping. Not letting go of W into the lead. Meanwhile, though, Fitz got Shy to start things up. Graviton, bomb, it's big. Architect gets 2. Going off to the side. 3. This is really, really nice. It's going to be a nice window of opportunity for the Spark now, Doa.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Countdown Cup Qualifiers here. Vicky, Kitty, and Jaws. And with that first map already going in favor of the Spark, Jaws, what are you anticipating? Any changes from the Dynasty, or do you think the Dynasty are going to come out on top?
I still think Dynasty take the series just overall. I just don't see that many weaknesses in terms of the hero pools, especially looking at how the comps are running right now. Although the Spark have always been a team where they do extremely well and then they don't do too well, and they do it very well and then they don't do too well. If you cast your mind back to the last tournament where Spark went undefeated going into the tournament and then got dominated. So it's a bit of an odd one for me, honestly. And like we mentioned before, there's a ton of roster changes from the Spark too, including a lot of their coaching staff as well. And even League Air as well has actually gone on a two-way at this point. So I don't know. It's a tough one. It is the first game of the Eastern region though. So, one map handies, just chill out for a moment. Okay, we're getting into map number 2 now, so you can hedge your bets a little bit later on. And I think your Seoul Dynasty, maybe warming up just a little bit. I mean, Profit definitely looking towards playoffs, for playoffs Profit to return. So Dynasty, they're still in good shape. They're still in a good way. However, when we jump onto a map like King's Row, extremely different in how it plays. Ball comps here, they're not as fluid as we've seen things like a Reinhardt comps when Lucio's available. But with Lucio banned, you're almost, like we mentioned before, kind of forced into these kind of compositions where you want to just protect your backline with the Brigitte and the Zenyatta if you're the Spark, and then you have Gouchway and Bernard diving in with Shy and Architect. Obviously, Bernard, a little bit of time spent matrixing his Zenyatta as well. But it's really cool to see big changes, sweeping changes when it comes to the hero pools, Vicky, because we get to see a lot of these comps on maps we wouldn't normally expect them to. So seeing the ball play here with MCD and IDK on the back line, just sitting high in the sky on the back point of the King's Row, it's going to be nice. It's going to be nice to see. And ball on this map too, there's a few cheeky spots you can kind of hide around. You can see already Goosefrey kind of chilling up on the movie theater, ready to slam or just swing through, try and catch someone off guard.
Oh yeah, the verticality just provides so much creative output for a lot of that mobility. And I actually like that we're seeing Profit on this tour, because when I was looking at this meta, this is actually something that came to mind, especially looking at the map pool like King's Row, where a Molten Core is going to be crucial too when it comes to controlling a lot of that space. And already as they made their way in, Gouchway's the first one to go out though, and it's going to be Profit who takes that first, wasting no time. They're already moving on to the point.
Yeah, Seoul Dynasty running kind of a bunker composition. They just want to move around as a complete 6-man unit and then just kill people that jump on them, basically. Stun them with Brig, and Profit just kind of exists with the turret, and it does infinite damage. And look what they're doing right now. They're just all hunting behind the shield. IDK steps a little bit too far, gets halted, and he dies.
They're so split up though. Right now, you lost both your supports, and now with MCD going down, this is just Dynasty to take this point, just try to clean up what's left of the Spark, and they're going to start moving the payload already with Fitz holding on to that Deadeye.
Yeah, 2 comps that do 2 different things completely. You want to split off your other Spark. You want to draw the attention of Seoul Dynasty to look one way, then look the other, try and kill the ball, stun him. Then you've got to worry about Shy, who's going for hacks. But Seoul Dynasty, they just want to sit on the same pixel with each other. All 6 of them right on top, just making sure they stay alive and grouped up together. That's where Bap's best at healing. That's where Brigitte's best at healing as well. Just small AoE spaces. And then Profit and Fitz, they got a lot of slowdown potential. They got stun. They have Profit, of course, who can just hit E, go overload, and just sit there and take 1 million damage because he's got all the armor. Seoul Dynasty's comps really nice moving through these streets as well, just very slow, one piece at a time.
Well, right now, the Spark, they're dropping down. You see Architect already getting into position as he's about to get that pulse bomb. But talking about positioning and ultimates, Shy has that EMP. They're going to utilize the rally after Animo gets hit with that Discord. He doesn't take too much damage with the Transcendence coming in from the Spark preemptively here to await the EMP that, you currently have Shy putting down on the Dynasty. I mean, the Transcendence right there, Jaws, was to allow Spark to get into position, and MCD goes down. It doesn't matter. Despite the EMP, no one dives in, and Animo gets MCD, and IDK falls with him again. Support lineup of the Spark are just not having a good time.
Yeah, they're not having a good time at all. A very early rally for the Dynasty. They were kind of perfectly set up for the EMP engage. Not only that, Gesture was able to get down that supercharger. It was only eventually kind of killed off by the self-destruct of Bernard, but the damage had already been done at that point. They used the supercharger damage to kill 2 people from the Spark, and then the Spark didn't really have any gas left in the tank. They'd already used EMP, they used Pulse, they used Self-Destruct, which got Immortality fielded. Spark are having a rough time trying to deal with the Seoul Dynasty comp. And Dynasty, they've got window coming up. They can set Profit and Fitz behind it, and there's almost no space Spark can take. Speaking of no space, look at this already. The Seoul Dynasty have pushed so far up on the left-hand side.
Right now, they know they have that momentum in their favor. The Immortality field already used up. Fitz gets saved by it. He's forced to back off, and the Molten Core coming in to control that payload, get it in for free, and Bernard goes down to 2U. Currently, with that Molten Core, they can move some of that payload over a little bit more in the rally. Now coming in from IDK. Here comes a Diva Bomb, but the EMP, it's found Fitz and Jester. Gushue and Shy still go down, and despite these attempts with Shy, it's just not working out for the Spark.
What a flashbang onto IDK there. He was rallied as well, forcing the Transcendence from the Spark.
Oh, no.
What a boop. Nope, didn't matter.
He could go back, yeah, he could go back. He had the rocket boosters ready to get back into the fight. He's forced to back up a little bit, though, while trying to contest the payload. Currently, Shy taking some damage, and Jester's not letting him get away with it. He's still pressuring the spawn, and Profit, 2U, and Animo get hit with an anti, but nobody to follow up, minus Bernard, who finds Fitz, so the Deadeye won't be on board. Look how quickly they are to disengage the moment they lost Fitz.
Yeah, they're in a really annoying situation now where they have to completely reset, and Jester actually changed over to Wrecking Ball as well to try and maybe salvage the fight. I want to see if he's going to go back to spawn, change the Orisa. Okay, yes, he does. I would be very surprised to see him stick on that Wrecking Ball, even if he did have a little bit of ult charge there. We do jump into a brief pause, unfortunately. But yeah, it would have, it wouldn't have been great if he stuck on Wrecking Ball. Doesn't really work together with a comp, like I mentioned before, as they do want to move around in one cohesive unit. But I love the fact that Seoul Dynasty setting up super early positions. We saw them just push all the way around the first corner on the third point, and then just rush the smaller high ground there, you could see at the very back. And that just allowed them to set up the window. It's very difficult to Spark to kind of assault that position, especially when you have a the Orisa and the Brigitte just kind of sitting there. Can you do much? Not really. Also, McCree's there too. Double stun and Holt. Not doing too much, especially if you're a Wrecking Ball too, who's trying to get the momentum to try and push people out the way. Spark having a little bit of a tough time. They were saved, of course. Spawn advantage being a very important thing on King's Row, or just on any kind of final point of a map. And they did manage to stem the bleeding for now. But Seoul Dynasty, they're going to be able to come back in with ults. I'm going to glance over to my screen. Does look like they've got Deadeye to clear a lot of that space, and they've got another window coming up as well. So another very, very tough assault here for the Spark. And in fact, they're going up with a composition swap too, or a very, very small one. Bernard resets his mech back and goes back to the Diva, but Shy's actually on a Hangzhou to try and break some of this fragile shield that the Orisa has.
Yeah, I agree with this swap too, because right now you talk about positioning, that's exactly what we've been seeing from the Dynasty. Now they're already pushed up, they have the Ant Matrix, but the minefields to try to put on some pressure. Look at that, it doesn't even matter here. They're still right behind that Ant Matrix, and they're still forcing them out of that line of sight. Now they're going to be able to dive in from that. You currently have Jester trying to create that space. Profit's about to get the Molten Core, and it's Fitz who actually activates the Deadeye. Doesn't get anyone, but still finds MCD's head consistently. The Spark are winning in terms of numbers though, and with 3 members down from Seoul, they actually are forced to back off here. Profit going down with it.
Yeah, nice nano onto Bernard there to make sure he didn't instantly evaporate in front of the Dynasty, and splitting up the rest of the team too. You saw Dynasty there, 2 of them jumped on the point, or like on the last section of that point to try and execute somebody, but the problem was that the Dynasty sent both the tanks forward, and then Bernard got nanoed. He can just run over the backline, no problem, just runs through them basically. The Dynasty weren't touching the payload either there, Vicky, so they didn't have that added pressure either of, we have position and we're touching payload. Which one do you want to disrupt right now? Gave the Spark kind of a question. They kind of left the payload alone and were hoping that they could take position before they ended up touching payload. But because they weren't touching, now they have to move the payload back the way it was, all that progress it didn't end up losing. Ooh. And now they're eventually coming back. A beautiful Dragon Strike hit there by 2U2.
Yeah, and
another E as well on the pulse bomb.
It's not a buffet out here, 2U. I mean, Shy also getting the headshot onto Jester after burning down that shield. We trade them for 2 Diva bombs onto Fitz and then Architect. Currently, Seoul Dynasty have no DPS left to help them out, and they have a limited time bank with 1 minute and less than 20 seconds on the clock.
Wow, they had 4 minutes plus on this point as well. Like, they're not making any room whatsoever. They finally end up just walking down main. But the problem was, Bernard set up with a perfect self-destruct. It was so good. No one can really run away. Like, Gesture, yeah, he can put a fresh shield down, but it isn't going to last long. And Fizz was caught completely out of position as well. It doesn't matter how many ults 2U eats. He cannot eat that self-destruct that split the rest of the team.
You won't have the big appetite for that, unfortunately. Prophet already trying to set up into position, gets pressured out by Architect. Really Goucher with that minefield to stop that rotation that hit onto the payload, but with Fitz going down, that's going to put a dent to their progress, and now they have less than a minute to get that payload to the finish line.
And Shai's just having an absolute feast too. Okay, Bernard does end up resetting. He is, it wasn't a boop off the map or anything. It's all good. He's just resetting to get his mech back without resetting his ult charge, which is nice. Another Dragon Strike here to split the forces of the Dynasty. They do have the supercharge though. Just put it down behind the payload or on the corner. Try and buy some more space.
Tries to get Goucher out of that positioning right there. Here comes the Dragons from Shai. At the very end there to stop that rotation, and with time ticking down, they got to get on the payload. They got to force this into overtime here. Currently, the Spark, they don't really have much other than Architect about to get, and actually IDK getting that rally soon, and Architect with that pulse bomb. As Prophet tries to get into position, tries to pressure out MCD. The Transcendence will definitely help out the Spark. IDK with the rally to help out the sustainability, but look at the way the Dynasty are playing. They're playing split up, no, not just split up, but kind of weaving themselves in and out. To Transcendence, they'll allow Architect to move up, and they found Fitz first pick here, and now the Transcendence from Creative. Can he get to Prophet on time? He does. The sticky from Architect. The pulse isn't going to find its mark, but IDK does instead on Prophet. Both of the DPS from Seoul Dynasty had their ultimates. Fitz just used it right now desperately, as the rest of the Dynasty are still on the point, but not for long. Big Diva Bomb from Bernard, and that's going to clear out the payload.
Man, Bernard's really been a hero on this last point. 2 points, funnily enough, on the board now for the Seoul Dynasty. A very clear win condition for the Spark. Wow, Bernard. It's kind of easy, especially when Seoul Dynasty need to be able to touch the payload, and it's in an awkward position as well. It's not only between the doors where you can kind of scurry for cover, but it's between the point too. Like, there's a fair bit of distance you need to travel to try and get to cover, and Bernard, all he does is just slingshot it down the main path, and Seoul Dynasty are either forced to push into the Spark, which they definitely don't want to do. They want to hold their ground with the Orisa, or they try and run back towards the self-destruct in order to get into cover of the small little, like the mega health pack room. A very, very tough decision, and Bernard just knew exactly what the Seoul Dynasty needed to do. He knew their win conditions and was able to set the Diva self-destruct up perfectly. Not to mention MCD's aggressive Transcendence too. Architect was able to pick up Shai, and they're just immortal, like, moving forwards. Goucher's biggest hindrance, and it was actually saved by MCD's Transcendence, is a lot of those stuns on Seoul Dynasty, whether it's the flashbang or the Brigitte stun, even the halt as well stops your momentum. But with MCD just jumping to the backline of the Seoul Dynasty to save Goucher, really helped them out there at the very end.
Yeah, MCD has been on another level so far. Zenyatta actually, I believe, ranked number 4 according to IBM Watson, slightly above Jonak. So MCD just overall has just been on another level. Specifically with his Ana too. I think he's actually ranked like number 1. But yeah, being able to have that awareness and allow Goucher to come back to the safety of Spark. And Bernard, yeah, popping off too. With this attack though, now they're going to be the ones that are trying to fight for that stature control, so that way they can go for the safe rotations. But the Dynasty are actually playing pretty reserved.
Yeah, well, again, the idea of Dynasty comp is just kind of all move together.
Yeah.
And what the Spark are currently doing is just taking the high ground away from them for free. Like, the ball can do it fairly easily, just kind of roll through them and push people off the high ground if necessary, but it's the Dynasty that are really almost out-rotating themselves. They've given a lot of this free ground away, and actually Fitz is already gone. And Architect's in the back line too. It's a perfect storm for the Spark right now.
And he followed up from the Discord room too originally to get that first pick. MCD goes down, but it doesn't even matter when your entire lineup is stuck in that room and the Spark have sandwiched you. Bernard finding 2 here too, and now the Spark are also going to be able to move their way onto the point and get that payload moving once they're done cleaning up.
Oh, that was super nice. Spark, all they needed to do there was just spend a little bit of time setting up. They did so perfectly. They even managed to catch Fitz on the rotation as well. But as soon as Architect gets back to that archway behind the support, you saw Gushway just a million miles an hour. He's going for the... He's not even going for the spare. He's just going for a full... strike through the support into the hotel, and there was nothing they could do. Orisa can't really maneuver herself into the hotel to try and peel. It was only the Brig and the Zen that were in there, and they were able to isolate them so easily, and the follow-up was so good. The Spark, they're all on the same page right now, and it's beautiful to see.
I feel like they're literally just all thinking on the same wavelength right now, just communicating telepathically. Might as well. That synergy really shining through. Currently see Shy getting set up as that EMP will be online soon. Just has to get into position. Meanwhile, Prophet gets the pulse bomb stick onto IDK. He's gone. And the Transcendence coming in from MCD. Although it doesn't save IDK, at least gets the Spark into position. Tries to go for that attempt as Gushway does find that pick, but it's going to cost Architect, and the EMP has now caused Creative to go down. Jester managed to get away in time as that Diva Bomb actually forces the Spark to back off.
Yeah, the rally's been activated as well from the Seoul Dynasty. They're going to be so tough to take down, but look at this. Late rally from IDK.
Now IDK with that rally is going to allow the Spark to move up and get these 2 picks, make it 3 while they're at it. Being able to stay on this payload has been so efficient for the Spark. So quick, too, and now they're going to be able to round this corner.
Yeah, really nice late rally. Normally the ultimate that you use last ends up winning, especially when it comes to support ultimates. As long as you can weather the storm of Arnamo and the rest of the team with that rally armor. And IDK activating it late, you're going to be more than good. That rally armor is going to outlive a lot of the armor from the Seoul Dynasty, on the other hand. Wow.
Wow.
Architects? Did he really not have recoil up there? Or blinks? Like, that was... It just looked like he tripped over and just fell off the high ground. All right.
That was unfortunate. Yeah, and now the Dynasty can just set up on that corner.
Like, look at this now. They've got so much time to set up too. They kill Architect and the rest of the Spark. They are not even touching payload at this point either. They know they can't go for this big engage because Architect's dead and coming back from spawn. Luckily these Tracers so he can get back rather quickly, but still cost them a little bit of time here.
Now, as everybody's together again, they do have Shy with the EMP to at least try to finalize the second point, because currently the Dynasty that had all the time in the world to already set up on that high ground, which is super crucial here. So you currently have Shy, gets the hack first, manages to bait them to jump down a little bit, forces them to try to contest as 2U actually forces them to get back into the recall. MCD with the Transcendence to keep everybody from Spark alive here. The Deadeye, but the EMP shuts it down and finds 4. Creative had the Transcendence since he already used it, though. It's not going to really help out the Dynasty, and Jester goes down. They trade that for Gushway, but Gushway could get back into the fight a lot faster.
Yes, that he can. It's a fairly long way from the spawn, though. That was a really nice attempt attack by Shy there. I think he was actually trying to go for the Zen, but it didn't end up working out. Rally from Animo, though, to start the next engagement off.
And they're already looking great here, too. Jaws have already found both the supports for the Spark. Now they're struggling for that sustainability. They only have the health pack there, the small health pack, and the Dynasty, they have taken control over the payload. It's back to the drawing board for the Spark.
That was a very late EMP. Let's talk about that EMP play real quick. Shy went for the manual hack. I think he was trying to get the Zenyatta, but managed to catch the Brig. Doesn't really result in too much as the Brig's on high ground, a little bit more difficult to dive, plus you had your tanks around you. Because he didn't get creative there, he couldn't then just unleash the EMP for free and just take him out, right? And then at the end of it all, Creative actually just used Transcendence to match MCDs, and then Shy just used the EMP as the Transcendence was going off. So Creative didn't get stripped of his shields, and the rest of the team are getting healed in the meantime as well. 1 minute remains for the Spark now. They're going to make another engage, potentially start this on off with a rally, knowing Animo used his last.
Yeah, Creative is the first one to go down from that Diva Bomb. We talk about Bernard. Not only does he find Creative, but he also finds Fitz. Jester taking so much damage, he gets deleted. Somebody stop MCD. He's burning down Animo's shield. He's just trying to get away, but he won't be able to. It's a cleanup from the Spark, and now they have some breathing room as they get that second point with such limited time.
God, Bernard does it again with the self-destruct and then just the normal regular kill as well. Like, they didn't even need the rally. They did end up using it to just try and solidify the fight, just secure it. But Bernard's self-destructs have been on point on King's Row. They don't need that far to go either, although 2 minutes compared to Seoul Dynasty's 4 minutes that they had when they were on this point.
Big change up here as the Spark, they did waste a lot of that time from the Dynasty, but now as they make their way over, they have some of that momentum, they have that Transcendence. It's Transcendence for Transcendence though, as Creative keeps everybody alive from the Dynasty. They do have Fitz in that Deadeye, and Prophet taking so much damage. Fitz forced to back off a little bit, and the Spark putting on a lot of that pressure on the front line.
So much pressure, but the Spark, they're doing a good job of just kind of inching this payload forward, Vicky. They need one fight, and that's it now. Shy has EMP, and he's ready to go.
Just getting into position at this point. Architect trying to match Shy. He's taking some damage. Guangzhou just trying to get into position with the minefields. Stop, there's the rotation and the EMP. Finds 3, but doesn't find Fitz as he lets the Deadeye unleash. And now Architect with the Pulse Bomb. The Dynasty, they're at a number disadvantage. Prophet somehow gets away now. He has the Pulse Bomb, but Architect has found Creative. You have no one from your supports left and nobody to contest. The Spark now take the payload home, and they take map number 2 while they're at it.
Man, what an EMP from Shy at the very end. Wow, Seoul Dynasty just falling over. I had very different expectations coming into this series, just looking at the hero pools. I expect Seoul Dynasty to kind of be on top of this one, but the Spark are just coming out big already. I knew the MCD IDK backline was good. Like, it is incredibly solid. They're not getting taken down early. Fitz and Prophet having a hard time even just kind of pressuring them. MCD is almost 1v1ing Profits. You saw him in the Mega Health Pack room at the very end there. He ended up forcing Profit's recall and then just hitting the Transcendence. Was like, we just better go. Like, if we just force them forward, Seoul Dynasty, they have to peel back. They don't have a Transcendence of their own because they used it last fight. And then as soon as they're all pushed back into the corner, what happens? Well, Shy jumps in, he gets dead-eyed, but he got the EMP off anyway, and that sealed the deal for the Spark.
I love to see it here. MCD popping off. I honestly hyped them up earlier, but there's a reason for that. Just being able to help play Spark and get aggressive and get them into position really allowed them to finalize King's Row. That's going to be it for map number 2, but we still have a map number 3 on the other side of this break. We'll see you soon.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. So much flavor, it's a mind crunch. And by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, everyone. We're currently in the middle of our first series of the day here on the east side. It's going to be the Hangzhou Spark versus the Seoul Dynasty, and currently the Spark are at match point now, Jaws. Only one more map before they take it over the Dynasty and add their names to the checklist that Dynasty are struggling against, because we were just talking about earlier that the Dragons right now and the Hunters have been the two teams that have consistently given Dynasty a hard time.
Yeah, maybe Spark is that one as well this time around. The Spark looking so good. Like, MCD's doing well, IDK is doing well, like, and there's not a member on their team right now that is kind of lackluster or lacking in some regards. Like, we're even seeing Shy jump out on Hangzhou, get 4 kills, and you're like, okay, cool. I guess Shy's back in the action. Like, I'm not going to lie, I've missed watching Shy, and I've missed casting Shy, because he's just such a pop-off player, and no matter what hero he plays either, like, even his Sombra right now is so good. Even against this bunker-style composition that the Seoul Dynasty are running on King's Row, he's finding the ability to charge EMPs so fast. Like, it's crazy. It's a little bit more hard to execute those comps as well. This like multiple pronged attack composition with the ball and the tracer and the Sombra, it's harder to execute against teams that are running a bunker style or like a rush style that kind of all wants to move together as one and focus one person down. But the Spark is still managing to do it somehow, and it's looking absolutely fantastic. And I did have questions about them at the start of the series, Vicky. Are they going to be a team that has suffered from a loss of coaching over the last couple of weeks, or the last couple of months even, with the coaching changes and players being dropped, or even jumping onto like two-way contracts? Like, right now, they're proving me the opposite. They're proving me wrong, Vicky, because they are kind of slapping Seoul Dynasty around right now.
I love to see it too, because this is a team that, you know, they kind of, we said it earlier, they're just flip-flopping back and forth between their progress. And against the Seoul Dynasty, this is huge, because we are already reaching the end of the year, the season, Jaws. And right now, this is the important time for teams like Seoul Dynasty to maintain that top 2 spot. Because right now, if you lose to the Spark, you have to also consider playoffs at this point.
Playoffs are right around the corner. Of course, they just got announced. We're doing them live as well, which is super nice.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Vicky.
Oh, I may make an offer that just to hang out.
Yeah.
It's going to look great.
Oh, absolutely. But like, let's speak about that as well real quick, Vicky. Those scorelines, 9-3 Seoul Dynasty currently. Spark 7-5, only just behind them. So they are really biting at the heels of the Seoul Dynasty right now. They want to take them over. Yes, they want to overtake them, is what I meant to say. They're so very close to doing that as well. Seoul Dynasty on the offense. They're going to roll out with double sniper. I can imagine Fitz just wants a small shot. See if he can find a pick. Jumps back. Same with Profit. So they're going to go Korean Torb again. Yep. Okay. No surprises there whatsoever. And then I was realizing I was a bit behind on the action there because I was looking at the wrong monitor, but I'm looking at the correct.
Honestly, it works here.
Sounded really silly.
I mean, you talk about the composition here, and now you're talking about positioning. The Spark have that high ground, and they still have Shy on that Sombra, being able to get that EMP as quickly as they have. It's been very successful for them, and look at that. They're actually rotating off to the side of the balcony, waiting out the Dynasty, and now they're going to be able to dive in. They've already used up the Immortality Field, and they've also used up their Baptiste, because Creative is gone, and so is Animo, and now the support lineup of the Dynasty will help sustain them.
Yeah, they're all split once again. They should just be able to clean this up, no problem. That's what their comp does best, cleaning up stagger kills. And wow, Seoul Dynasty, what happened there? Well, they went high ground. Perfect, right? Because you have an Orisa. You can sit up there with the Kree, with the Torb, just kind of rain a lot of fire down near the payload and everybody trying to contest it. But who was waiting around the corner? Well, it was this guy right on your screen right now. It's Gushwei, sitting on the side, rolled off the side a little bit there to get the pile driver, and slammed straight on top of the Seoul Dynasty. And then it split them up. Half the team went down, half the team stayed up, and Spark cleaned up.
And that's why we've been seeing a lot of this ball composition coming out, especially on maps like Rialto. Guangzhou is still in the back lines, and so is Shy, who has that EMP. It's going to be crucial here to stop him from getting this first point. Prophet getting with that Discord Orb, having to force his way out of that line of sight from MCD, and Fitz is going to be able to move in with the Deadeye too. They have the high ground, they're jumping down, but where the Spark? Split up a little bit here. They're just trying to find him as they're onto the side. Oh, the hack right there. That actually stops it too. And with Fitz getting hacked and the peel from 2U, Creative actually punishes Shy for that. The Immortality Field tries to help sustain Dynasty, and they do so successfully. With this Molten Core, Dynasty have to use almost everything in their arsenal to absolutely take this first point.
Yeah, there seemed to be very much a Hail Mary hack. Fitz was so far in the backline there that it didn't really matter. Ideally, you just want to go for the hack and then instantly translocate. No way you're going to win the fight up against the McCree when the Brigitte as well is kind of looking at you. They do end up taking the point. It's all about the space control, like I mentioned before, for the Seoul Dynasty. It's up to the Spark to kind of remove that space control from them. But as soon as they get set up on a high ground like this, it's going to be very hard to do so. Already, you can see Guangzhou under half HP, has to back out. And that was just one simple rotation for Dynasty 2. Flashbang into the hole, and you're almost dead already.
Oh, but Architect has that pulse bomb, does try to pressure out Fitz, force some of that split attention, and backs up immediately. Fitz has that Deadeye, and Guangzhou getting stunned. He rolls out of there after taking so much damage, but Fitz gets called out by the Architect's pulse bomb. He saw him in his line of sight, he wanted it, he still went for it, and now the Dynasty are forced to back off.
Yeah, they're going to have to back off all the way to their spawn. And that's it. Once again, what happened? Well, they got split up. They want Seoul Dynasty want one person to touch the payload, and that's 2U on that D.Va. Mobility is key when you're trying to juggle the payload like that. Oh. EMP, hit 4.
Not only hit it 4, but you talk about mobility. I mean, there's nowhere to run when you get hit with that EMP. Fitz as well, taking some damage, dropping down, and the Dynasty are moving their way in with the Spark having that high ground advantage.
What? What was that?
He got scared. I don't even know. He might be trying to get into position, but that did not work in their favor with Fitz clicking heads, clicking Shy, and sending IDK back to the spawn. But yeah, I'm not too sure if MCD had fat fingered that, honestly.
Whoa, okay. Well, I mean, there's aggressive transcendences, and then there was that one. MCD jumping to the back line to try and save somebody. All right, okay. Well, now Seoul Dynasty have all the space tool creations they need. They got Molten Core, they got Winder, they got Rally, they got everything.
And creating a fortress with the Molten Core around the payload too. No one touches on the payload. You have to make sure that this floor is lava, so you gotta fly over it instead. Dynasty just trying to secure that nail in the coffin. Fitz finding Bernard. It's a matter of time. With Profits also getting set up with the turret, it'd be a difficult time for the Spark.
Wow, that was, yeah, what a frustrating team fight to come into. That is the Spark. Molten Core, then you have to deal with Window. You use the mines, but it all dies to the Molten Core. And then somehow Creative, well, he just one-tap Shy through the window like a good old 4-shot. And, like, what can you do from there? Shy's the main person there you want picks from long range or, like, pressure the shield, and he instantly goes down to Creative. Tough team fight for Spark there, but it was almost guaranteed loss considering the ults from the Seoul Dynasty.
The Spark getting set up. They do have that pulse bomb, but they have already used up the EMP. So with Fitz having that Deadeye, he just wants to get into position, make some of that free space as they move the payload, make sure he doesn't get hacked this time around as Shy is trying to get behind them. They do demech Bernard, and the Transcendence in time from MCD, getting it back online just as quickly as he had used it. And currently, with Jester taking some of that damage, Animo backing off in time. How quickly Dynasty actually was to disengage right there, not overextending.
Yeah, nice reactionary EMP. Oh, Shy gets stunned. He gets away, though.
And Prophet is the one to go down, trading that for Bernard. Could get into this fight quicker, but the spawn advantage in favor for the Spark. Here comes the Ant Matrix now, create some of that space for the Dynasty. Now swapping places here with the Spark. The Spark are just trying to get some of these picks, but they can't find that mark. And with this rally, it's going to be even more difficult. Shy taking a lot of that pressure. Guangzhou is the first one to go down for the Spark.
Yeah, self-destruct behind this guy as well. Doesn't really find much apart from the Immortality Field.
They're still having this elongated fight here. Jaws, IDK now finding Prophet. They trade that though. Both Shy and IDK go down as Jester pops off the Supercharger. Able to get so much beneficial damage here. Prophet's gonna come back, but now the Spark are nowhere to be seen to touch that payload.
Well, there you go. Gesture, they're walking around like a little goon squad. It's very hard to get like these off angles, like I mentioned before, from the Spark. Ideally, you want a couple of people dotted here and there and everywhere, like the Wrecking Ball on one angle, the Sombra on one, the Tracer on one, just trying to dive on the attack targets. Like, it's very difficult on this point, like extremely difficult. It very much benefits the Seoul Dynasty and how they want to play their comp. They want to inch forward slowly but surely and move up this turret, or set the turret in the backline, sorry, to try to chip damage any of the squishy DPS that are trying to go for these flanks. And then Fitz just basically sits on top of Gesture and the rest of his supports to fan that flashbang, fan the hammer, people. Like, it's beneficial for the Seoul Dynasty to fight in those conditions where there's very little flank potential from the Spark. They do end up getting 1 minute and 42 seconds, so that's not bad. Considering it's Rialto, normally feels like you either sweep or you end up going into OT and struggling to cap the final point. So Dynasty with a decent time bank on this map, and with their comp, again, I really do feel like it's suited for this point. It's only point 2 where it can be a little bit more dicey, because Spark can control the high ground very quickly, as they do have Wrecking Ball, they do have Sombra, but it's the first and last point that is going to benefit Seoul Dynasty the most. They can hide a lot of this, a lot of the squishies around these corners and in the buildings, and even on the point itself, on point A, it's very hard to actually pick anybody off if you're the Spark, unless you're going for like a crazy boop into the water.
There are those pillars too that they can utilize just to get out of that line of sight, so definitely something to take note of. As you see MCD still sticking on this, Zenyatta having such a large impact with the follow-ups that we're seeing from the rest of the Spark on those Discord orbs. But so they do get to move this payload around. It's the Dynasty that have that high ground control. And take a look at Shy and Guxue, who are already getting set up on the flank.
Yeah, they do manage to hack the Mega Health Pack away as well, so Prophet can't use that whatsoever. But a nice little chase down there onto Guxue. We'll start this one off very nicely, and Prophet he knows he can chase pretty far into the back of the team here. Look at all the support he's receiving right now. The space that is being created by Gesture by just holding W is kind of ridiculous. Splits the supports off. Slam from Guxue isn't going to do much, and yeah, he's going to bite the dust as well.
Holding forward, putting down that shield draws and making that space. Both those supports, they went down for the Spark, and now Dynasty are in control. They're also holding up this corner here, and it's going to be difficult to get through that where the payload's currently located.
Yeah, it's super tough. Like I said, it's very beneficial for the Seoul Dynasty to hold this first point. Guxue with a boom. Oh, beautiful.
Oh. Love it right here. Guxue also getting onto the high ground, backs away in time, and now has the minefields. Meanwhile, Prophet try to get a stick with that pulse bomb. Fortunately fails here, but still maintains that high ground pressure onto Guxue, who is still trying to find a way to come right back to the high ground, but now with some extra help.
Yeah, at least they're able to take high ground control here. It's taken them 2 minutes, but they've eventually done it. But look at Gesture just kind of chilling near the tree. And the rest of the team up on the high ground. Guxue, yep, he tried to find an off angle, but you just jump into 5 stuns.
Every single time, yeah, he just gets burned down. I mean, that's what happens when the Dynasty are playing to counter you. MCD also goes down too. Prophet now being able to pop off on that Tracer. He did his job with the Tor, but now that Molten Core doesn't need to come in handy when you're fighting this Tracer 1v1 and bringing that fight over to Architect.
Wow. Yeah, another really nice engagement from the Seoul Dynasty, or disengagement really. It was MCD who tried to engage with that Transcendence, tried to save this team as they were dying to Gesture and the rest of the squad. EMP though for Shy, this could be big.
They're just trying to get into position right here. He gets immediately melted by 2U and finishes things off with the melee. Architect also trading that for Prophet, but that EMP could have started the engagement here for Spark because they have less than 1 minute and 20 seconds now to get that first point.
I didn't quite clock it, but maybe his translocator wasn't up. Maybe Prophet destroyed it. I have to look at that in a replay real fast, because that is a massive mistake. You want to recall there 100%, 10 times out of 10.
Sure, he just didn't have it or something. Yeah, just because at that point he just got melted. But yeah, Shy now trying to get into that position, set things up for the Spark. They have less than 1 minute to get things rolling here. As Architect is also just trying to get into position with that pulse bomb, but Dynasty are just doing such a good job at splitting that attention away from the Spark.
Still have a lot of ults. More ults than they should need, ideally. Prophet goes down.
And the pulse bomb has been activated here. Architect finding Prophet. Now Gesture goes down 2. It's 2 down for the Dynasty, 1 for the Spark. The number advantage going in favor now as the rally tries to keep everybody from the Dynasty alive. Although they won't have that supercharger for this fight, currently the Spark have less than 60 seconds. They got to touch, they got to contest. They drop down from the high ground, and Fitz is still going to stay up there. He gets moved off, and the EMP actually finding 3, and it's going to be Fitz who goes down first from the Dynasty. Now with the supercharger from Jester, though, that's going to add some extra pressure, but MCD's there to save the day
Big
again
Transcendence.
with another Transcendence. Like, he keeps building up so quickly.
Self-destruct on point. It's big. MCD dies.
MCD's gone now. IDK is the only support left for the Spark to help them out. Overtime taking away, and now with Profit finding IDK, they have no sustainability. Just Gushway and his minefields to at least stop the rotation, but look at all that damage he's taking. Nobody left from the Dynasty to contest, or rather, from the Spark to contest on this payload.
That's it, overtime ticking down. They should be able to hold, and yes, they do. First point hold for the Dynasty. Seeing themselves back in the series with Spark up 2 maps. Match point for a reverse sweep potential, maybe? I mean, the Dynasty comp works so well there. Like, you lose both your tanks, but you're able to back off with the rally. Very smart use. They know they can't get dove on and insta-kill because the armor is too much for the DPS and even the Wrecking Ball from the Spark to chunk you down. It was perfect. And then they just juggled the point. Gesture came back. Bam. Supercharger goes. And guess what? Everybody melts after that.
I just really like the way they also utilized the high ground there to split up some of that attention from the Spark. They really didn't know what to focus down on. They had to deal with the Sombra, the Tracer. Meanwhile now, or rather from Dynasty here, Spark had to also deal with the fact that that pressure was on, that they had some of those ultimates to try to take that first point, but unfortunately with some of that split high ground positioning from the Dynasty, they just really couldn't force them off there. And it's funny to note too that Escort is actually both of these teams' weakest map type this season, so they actually both have the same 36% win rate, and now with the Dynasty taking that over the Spark, like, all right, you know what, now we can start feeling comfortable as we do move on to a map number 4 on the other side of this break. The Spark are still at match point here though, Jaws. We'll see if the Dynasty could reverse 3-0 the Spark on the other side of this break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League, and by IBM, the official cloud and AI partner of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Countdown Cup Qualifiers presented by Xfinity. We're currently in the middle of our first series here, Jack, between the Seoul Dynasty and the Spark. With the Dynasty coming alive, though, on that third map, making sure that the Spark don't have an easy 3-0 on their hands.
Yeah, not quite just yet. Rialto was the Seoul Dynasty's map, and hey, they're looking pretty good on the Orisa kind of bunker composition with the Torb, and some of it was the Tracer, actually, probably coming back on the very end, but the McCree as well from Fitz, who we saw a stat card at the very start of the series saying he was one of the best Tracers, one of the best McCrees in the league currently. Hero damage leading right now. So yeah, not bad whatsoever. A little bit of a comfort pick. And it was kind of the opposite of what I thought as well. I did think Seoul Dynasty were going to take this fairly easily, this series, take it in their stride. But the Spark have been biting back pretty rapidly. Like, they've been taking fights thick and fast, and the Seoul Dynasty have only just managed to kind of stop them from doing so because they've changed comms, which relies on them just kind of standing still and just waiting for the rest of the Spark to kind of make mistakes on near them. Like, it's been of an odd, like, toss and turn of compositions throughout the series. And are we going to see a different one? Not sure. We are going on to Voskhaya Industries now, and it just, again, leads me to believe that Seoul Dynasty are going to play the same thing. Torb's pretty good on the defense on this map. McCree's pretty good on the defense on this map. Like, Orisa as well. Like, stick with this comp, and they might just be able to find a reverse sweep.
Actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Dynasty are actually undefeated on Volskaya. They definitely like that map, if I'm correct here. So looking at the fact that we're going to be moving on to Volskaya, yeah, and that could actually shift a lot of that momentum in Dynasty's favor, especially after the way we just saw them make that adjustment on Rialto.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I will say Spark have been no slouches either. Their EMP generation from Shy has been crazy good. Like the dives from Gushui mixed with the Architect's Tracer has been exceptional as well. Their backline's looking solid. But maybe the Seoul Dynasty right now have found their kryptonite. Looks like Seoul Dynasty will be standing on the offense first, so they'll be setting the pace car for this map. And how are the Spark going to actually take on this new composition from the Seoul Dynasty? Are they going to continue to run the same thing? Because it's very much comfort for them, it feels like, running this Ball and the Tracer and the Sombra, and with the MCD and IDK doing so well as well. And it doesn't like they are rolling out with that on the defense. So yeah, same kind of composition. One thing they can't let the Seoul Dynasty do is out-rotate them. They can't let Seoul Dynasty set up in that mega health pack room on the defensive side. Like, that's going to be a big problem. They want to just poke and prod and wait for the Seoul Dynasty to go on the rotations, and that is when they struggle.
Yeah, especially since Seoul Dynasty has been prioritizing their positioning basically this entire series. The Spark don't have a Lucio just to get him into position. They don't have that sound boost, so that way they could actually try to contest Seoul Dynasty there. So I definitely agree. I think it's going to trickle down to how the Dynasty play that rotation, but look at that. Shy already getting that health pack, trying to get some of that extra EMP charge right from the get-go and backing off to the rest of the Spark.
Nice little cheeky takeaway. Shouldn't mean all too much, but yeah, early EMP charge is the name of the game. They're just waiting for cooldowns here, like rotation of cooldowns, waiting for a full matrix to be available, and waiting for those shields to come online as well. So here you go. Here's the rotation I was talking about.
Oh no.
The Spark cannot let them get set up on this high ground / this mega health pack room, which they're doing just now. Like, they're going to have to get on them super fast because this is such a defendable position. Luckily enough, though, Shy's actually hacked the health pack away from them, so that's one less tool the Seoul Dynasty can use.
Yeah, Shy actually prioritizing those health packs really helped them set the space here. They have to worry about that turret, though, who's protected in that side room. Meanwhile, they've already gotten the first tick here, Jaws. And the Dynasty, they're going to disengage, just trying to wait for that perfect position after just getting that tick. It's both nice the tanks. With that shield, too, they could control some of that engagement with Bernard getting demech'd. Currently, you have the Dynasty getting a little aggressive. They have the Immortality Field, but Jester gets hit with the Pulse Bomb. Gets stuck with it, backs off, and now the Amp Major is going to buy that respect. Meanwhile, MCD cashing in on that Transcendence again, but they pull him in, and they finish him while they're at it. Dynasty wasting no time, trying to speedrun their way onto taking this first point.
Yeah, super nice rotation all the way around on the high ground, and the Spark couldn't really do much about it. they all need to kind of attack as one and have MCD chunk people out. He earned the Transcendence pretty quickly, but the Seoul Dynasty, they had the tools required to sustain against the Pulse Bomb, to even sustain against the oncoming damage of with the Transcendence at the Spark's back. Like, tough show for the Spark right now. Again, Seoul Dynasty, same sort of thing they want to do. Set up on a more defensive position, set up in a corner. It's a little bit more difficult this time around because you can see up on the high ground, Guangzhou's readying up with the Wrecking Ball just to slam down. The Molten Core is going to deny even more space.
Yeah, they know that the EMP is online from Shy. They have that Molten Core just in case Shy wants to get into position for that EMP, which is going to stop Dynasty from getting aggressive and getting the second point. They've already gotten the first stick again now with the minefields moving in from Guangzhou. Stop the rotation is going to force them to actually go over to the side. Meanwhile, Shy is still trying to get into position, and the way that the Spark are playing are just slow. They're waiting for that EMP to hit here, and Shy gets stuck.
He got bashed out! He got bashed out!
Oh, Fitz now it can pop off. They know the EMP isn't there, and he already wasted it. Now the Dynasty are truly on their path to speedrun their way to get this second point. They just gotta wait out on this Transcendence and clean up the Spark.
Woo! MCD finishes off Fitz. It might not matter though, they got Supercharger on point.
And now here, Prophet also has that Molten Core again. That's going to be more space bought in for the Dynasty. Pulse Bomb coming out from Architect. Doesn't find anyone. It's 2U instead. That got the Diva Bomb pick onto IDK. And we're popping off. And the rest of Dynasty is just a cleanup on aisle 3 here, Joss. The Spark can't contest.
Oh, unbelievable bash from Animo there. I gotta check that replay, man. Like, there's no way Shy did not see Animo. Maybe Animo was kind of hiding in the back somewhere and he didn't kind of check him, but he tried to decloak an EMP right in front of him. Like, right in front of him. And it was just, just so easy. This has to be the replay, surely. Has to be the replay.
Oh, well,
it's on the crease, so maybe not. Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
the flashbang and the bash came out at the same time. Maybe it was actually Fitz that got credit for that, but you saw 2 stuns launch in Shy's direction. Oh my word. The
reaction.
Shy just misstepping there, like, massively.
Great play, though, from both Fitz and Animo. Being able to recognize that the EMP was there. They knew, I mean, they had the Molten Core preemptively set up to make sure that Shy couldn't get into position before their engagement, too. So that was just information that they already had. And the reaction for Fitz, he was just waiting for the sound cue. And look how quickly he was to just turn around and just make sure that Shy wouldn't have that impact.
It's almost like he didn't even need the sound cue, to be honest with you, because Animo just popped out of nowhere. It was like, well, he's obviously going to go for EMP.
Yeah.
Like, you hit Q here if you're Sombra. Lots of people around you, you know? Like, it didn't even feel like he needed that sound cue at all, to be honest with you. All right, okay, let's have a look what Spark wants to do on their offense, though. Same comp again. They just want to run it. Feels like comfort right now. Even though Shy, yeah, a little bit of an embarrassment on the defense. See if you can do better on the offense. Seoul Dynasty with Prophet not on the Torbjorn. A little bit of a surprise, to be honest with you. Torb is pretty good on this map. You can hide that turret in the Mega Health Pack room. Could be another kind of point of defense for Animo and Creative. Shy now switching over to the Hanzo instead. So shield pressure is the name of the game here for Shy. Unload Storm Arrows on the shield with the help of MCD, also punishing it, and it forces Gesture to make these very defensive rotations. He has to wait for his shield to come up before he gets up into position and can set Fitz up for success. Instantly, see there, shield went down, Shy hit E, Storm Arrows instantly killed the shield.
Actually burned it all down to the ground right there. But Shy gets taken out by Jester as Shy tried to bring that fight over towards that choke point. Fortunately, isn't going to be able to get anything off of it. Meanwhile, the Spark, they're trying to move their way over to the point, but they're falling instead to the Dynasty with MCD going down, just leaving IDK. Forced to just back off here so that way you can just at least get the rally and help sustain the rest of the Spark as they're just falling like flies.
Yes, they are indeed. Luckily, though, the Spark, they do have a quick composition, so they're able to get back into the fight very rapidly, even without a Lucio. Architect's Pulse Swamp's going to have to be extremely good. So Architect, ideally, builds up Pulse, initiates in with Guangzhou, just lands it on Animo or Creative. You have opportunities to force Lamp without using the Pulse Bomb, but they're going to be very rare instances where you take too much damage. It looks rather unlikely, so Pulse from Prophet doesn't find much. But I'm looking at Architect. He's going to be the one key to success here for the Spark on this first point defense. offense.
Yeah, at least started off here. Gushue too rolling in could stop that rotation with the minefields as they do try to get set up on the point. You talk about Architect, he's already on the high ground here, just trying to find that opening. Has the minefield so that way he could rotate through that space that was just created for him. Fitz taking some damage, and Architect just baiting them out to go off to the balcony. Drops right down so he can play Ring Around the Rosie. He has that pulse bomb to get into position, and now with Animal getting the rally, the rest of the Dynasty are jumping off of there, and so they're going to be able to contest. Finding Shy now, Prophet being able to pop off. You talk about the pressure from Architect. Now with MCD utilizing that Transcendence, the Spark are just stuck in that room.
Yeah, nothing you can do. Really nice Deadeye there from Fitz. He let it loose before actually got the kill onto Shy, but Prophet triple blinks over the roof, kills Shy before Bernard could Matrix. One tick has been acquired, yes, but look at how long it actually took them. They've got a minute remaining, and these fights are going to last a long time as well, Vicky. They've got the Spark have the rally, yes, but the Seoul Dynasty can hold off a lot of that rally pressure with just the Supercharger. As soon as they hear that rally come out, that voice line, boom, gesture whacks down that Supercharger. Fitz is going to have the time of his life, and that armor is not going to mean as much as you think it would.
Actually, a checkmate situation here. Dynasty are trying to set themselves up for Shy to burning down the shield again with those storm arrows. Trying to get into position. You talk about out-rotating the Dynasty. It's looking like right here, Spark can't even rotate out of that choke point. They're just getting pressured out. Prophet already on the side. Architect ready to follow up here too. With that rally here, IDK tries to help that sustainability. Bernard gets that pick onto Jester, and that's going to be what they needed here because there's less than 30 seconds to even get that first point.
Yeah, okay, wow, the perfect self-destruct from Bernard yet again. The one tool that they really needed to stop that rally from being as impactful as it was the self-destruct. I mean, that was a fantastic pick-off, and they take the point. Yeah, I mean, Seoul Dynasty, great. They've got a lot of ults here to stop the point, but they could have easily won that if they just laid down that Supercharger and killed off IDK before he got the rally value.
Right here, they actually just wanted to back off early. Meanwhile, Architect is trying to get into position to build that pulse bomb again. But the Dynasty, they just wanted to prioritize setting up, I guess, here for the second point. With Fitz already on the back line, having that Ant Matrix, talking about some of these ultimates. Fitz being on that Hangzhou could help control some of that space with those Dragons, put down a lot of that pressure now that Gushue's on the Orisa now instead, and burn down their shield.
Yeah, so they're like, well, can't really run the ball on this point. I mean, it's very difficult to try and find an entrance. You're just going to get hyper stunned and stun locked, and you're stuck there with a Discord orb on you as well. Like, it's, or even just a bash. Like, you don't even need Discord orb, to be fair, when you've got a billion stuns on your side. Oh. Wow. Okay, Fizz kills 2. Killed Shy and Architect. So, yeah, big reset now for the Spark. And with 2 minutes remaining, and these comps taking a long time to kill as well, on both sides, to be fair, this might be final fight territory if the Seoul Dynasty can find an extra pick.
Just treading on thin ice here. The Spark are just trying to prioritize a way to get an opening here, but it was Fitz that put a tent to their plan, made them waste even more time. Still popping off, trying to burn through these shields, does so successfully. Shy just trying to get into position. It's about to get Dragons too. Supercharger now coming in online from Jester. He is discorded, but the Transcendence from MCD keeps the Spark not only in that fight, but also to move up. This is their opportunity to engage with that. Meanwhile, here with Gushue having the Supercharger, they do find Prophet, but MCD has a trade that he gets stuck from the pulse bomb. Gushue popping off under Jester, sending Seoul Dynasty back to the spawn here. Prophet coming in, and with 2 ticks already in the pockets of Spark, they're just trying to close this out. But the Dynasty are coming out with the Ant Matrix, and they're dealing enough damage to clean them up. They have less than a minute now, Jaws, to contest on the point.
Yeah, this looks like it's going to be a Seoul Dynasty W here. 1 minute to go for the Spark. And OT looking like the best case scenario right now. 4 minutes in the time bank as well, basically, for the Seoul Dynasty 2. This is the biggest upward hill battle for the Spark. They're not going to be able to finish with time on the bank, time on the clock. No way. Even with 33%, they're going to have to look for a clean team wipe. Like, Bernard is going to have to go crazy. Like, we're talking 4+ kills with one self-destruct, which is nigh on impossible on this last point, especially with the amount of shields and the cover that you have as well.
It's a little difficult too, because Fitz is also about to get those Dragons too. That's going to be so chaotic for this last fight that the Spark have on their hands. With that rally going to start the engagement, the Diva Bomb to create that space. The pool though doesn't matter because 2U still have that Diva Bomb to reset. Now it gets right back into the mech. They're just trying to find that opportunity here as MCD's on their back line. Fitz is about to get the Dragons now, and with time now setting it over to overtime. Shy isn't going to get contested, and now Shy has the Dragons here. Going to let it loose on the point, right behind the Dynasty. Gesture gets called out, and now's the opportunity the Spark are going to do it. Currently, the Dynasty won't be able to roll out quick enough. Creative just trying to stall out, but it's not going to be quick here. The Immortality Field, not enough. The Ant Matrix, not enough. And Profit, okay, goodbye.
He slipped. He actually just slipped. Like he was playing Mario Kart, slipped on a banana peel someone had threw down. Yeah, exactly. Mario over there just throwing out a banana peel from the back of his car, and probably slipped and just hit his head. Unlucky. But, I mean, situation still stands the same, Vicky. OT right now versus 3 minutes and 56 seconds. Like, come on. This unwinnable battle almost. What was that shot?
I love the tracking.
Oh,
okay.
Man.
The tracking called him out.
That was a nasty shot from Fitz. Very, very nice. Oh, man. Okay. 4 minutes. 4 minutes to defend. 33% on the point. They're going to go with the Orisa. Okay, so they just changed their comp up completely. They're like, well, I mean, the Orisa's well. Maybe not. Okay, I speak too soon. They're actually going back to spawn. Okay, don't get baited. Don't get baited.
They heard you.
Now, what are they going to go there? They're just going to go back ball again? Because they can't really make up their minds. Okay, they've finally settled? Yeah, okay, they have to settle at this point. I mean, there's 10 seconds to go. They need to set up. Okay, so they're thinking, well, Jess is doing it really well. Like, why don't we run the Orisa? I'm just going to protect the Zen, protect the Brig, and hopefully we win. One pick is all the Seoul Dynasty need. It's all they need to start off this this first fight. And they've got the big win condition here of the Sombra if it stays. No. Okay, so he's going to Hangzhou, Profit to Tracer. Not bad either. 1 arrow. All it takes from Fitz. And they could just secure themselves a 5th map.
Honestly, the only thing that Fitz needed right there, burning down that shield and allowing the rest of Spark to be exposed like that. Shy now taking some damage, but it's Profit who's already got an aggressive, who's already been able to take some of that high ground. But Shy just burning not only down the shield, but just trying to put in some extra pressure. DMX 2U, and the Spark off to a pretty strong start on this defense already, Jaws.
Yep, not bad, not bad. Building up the ults. Quick, clean fight. Almost a team wipe. Fitz spawned, unfortunately, just before it came up, but there you go. Architect, Pulse Bomb at 90%. That's a lot of ult charge for a fight like that, but I guess they were all in a room and he was just holding down left click, so you know, it'd just be like that as Tracer. Right, so ideally here, he just goes for the stick on Creative or Animo, right? Best targets of Pulse Bomb. 9 times out of 10, one of those supports. Burn the Immortality Field early as well, which is going to be pretty nice. And that means the rest of the Spark kind of attack, just like march on forward, knowing the Immortality Field is down. Dragons to split everybody off though. Nice halt. Immortality Field's been used already.
Yeah, the saves Fitz too in that position. Shy putting on so much pressure again from that high ground. Now also noting where they're trying to rotate. That's some more intel for the Spark. Trying to play ring around the Rosie, but the Architect getting that Pulse Bomb stick onto Creative. Doesn't matter if you have the Ant Matrix, but they've lost MCD and Shy. Everyone getting burned down to the Ant Matrix that the Seoul Dynasty were utilizing there. Profit also getting that Pulse Bomb pick, and what a different look. Seoul Dynasty now being able to take the map and even out the series. Seoul Dynasty. All right, we have a game on our hands, Jaws, and now the Spark, despite being up 2-0 originally in the first 2 maps, look at that. This is why it's so important here, especially in this final run, when it comes to this marathon that these teams have to perform to keep the chance of at least trying to go off to playoffs.
A reverse sweep to start off the Countdown Cup, maybe?
Oof,
like the Seoul Dynasty are come back in, a change of comp completely. They don't decide to match or mirror the Spark will run in. They go, okay, we're just going to run our own flavor. We're going to run the Orisa, and it's working out wonders for them. 2 maps in a row now. We're going to the final one, Vicky.
That's it. This is going to be the final map. Don't go anywhere on the other side of this break. We're bringing you the final map to our first series here in the Eastern region.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Welcome back, everyone. We're on our final map for our first series for the day here, Chaz. The Spark, they were up 2-0 originally, and now the Dynasty having other plans, making the reverse sweep potentially with this last map after taking Volskaya and keeping that perfect streak on that map where they haven't lost once this season on Volskaya.
Yeah, feeling pretty good. If you're the Dynasty right now, Oasis is our next one and our final one as well. What a way to start off the Countdown Cup Qualifiers here in the East with a little reverse sweep action maybe. See if the Spark can just quickly tie this one up with a nice little bow though. And the Seoul Dynasty, how did they end up getting here? Well, they actually just kind of swapped their comps. They ended up mirroring to start the series off, or close to it as mirroring as you can get with the Winston and the Sombra Tracer kind of dive-ish kind of comp. And then they played the Wrecking Ball a little bit, and then they kind of swapped up wholesales. They were like, actually, King's Row, we're going to run something completely different. Let's play Orisa and all hold the same pixel of the map and then wait for the rest of the Spark to dive into us, and then we can kill them. They had Brig, they had Kree, they had Torb, like a completely different look from the Seoul Dynasty. Although going onto a control map, it very much favors a composition that can kind of roll with the punches, roll very quick, like what Spark have been playing this whole time. This Sombra and Tracer and the ball is much harder to set up when you are an Orisa comp on control.
And we saw this team swinging on Lijiang, so 100% when it comes to those control points, it's very chaotic. Hopefully with some of those adjustments that we saw from the Dynasty, they could try to at least upkeep that momentum going into this last map for both these teams. Yes, we get set up though, Jaws, and with some of that time passing, this is what I like to see when it comes to the first week of all these new stages, because aside from the fact that a lot of these teams are figuring out what is the most ideal meta to run and trying to figure out like the opposition and just trying to contest them depending on what comps they're running, a lot of that just takes up so much of their time. And the Seoul Dynasty, they did it mid-series. They're doing it right now, and that's why they've taken the last 2 maps.
Oh man, this map too is rather tough. We are heading on to Oasis University to start us off. This is definitely the favored map here for Seoul Dynasty. They'd ideally want to play this one if they want to continue running with the Orisa, which is really good. And just that's the nature of control. Like sometimes you're gonna get good maps to start you off, sometimes you're going to get bad maps to start you off, you know what I mean? Like, and if she was on the other foot and it was actually Spark getting their favored map like City Center maybe, the Seoul Dynasty would have been in a much worse situation. So the cards are looking good for the Spark right now. We're able to roll out fairly quickly too, both teams using the Sim.
Prophet actually opting to go and stick with this Torb. Really trickles down to that Molten Core and that space created with that turret too. Already setting it down with the Spark, just trying to get into rotation, but Gushue, he's getting burned and he can't even get to the health pack. It happens again. It's like, how many times do we have to teach you a lesson, old man?
That unbelievable reference.
SpongeBob right there.
A reference I'd expect at 3:30 a.m.
Right? I mean, at this point,
well,
everything's
like
on the table.
5 a.m.
Yeah, it's actually, it's about to be 7 a.m. But yeah, no, at this point. At this point, right now, getting put to sleep right off the get-go, too, on the side room. Bernard getting some of that energy charge and putting it to use already at 100%. Don't feed him more. They punish him for it. Fitz gets the follow-up, and now he's gone. But huge ante into the side room that causes Fitz to fall.
I'm not sure it matters. I do like this adaptation, though, from the Spark actually running the Ana instead. Like, a big anti-nade can be so easily aggressed on if you're Shy, Architect, or Gushue, just jumping on the anti-nade target and you just instantly blow them up. I love the fact that MCD is playing the Ana, but even hitting a fat anti-nade like that sometimes doesn't work out if you haven't got the follow-up necessary. Speaking of follow-up, EMP.
Oh, and the EMP does land, hits 3, and Jester gets hit with a double whammy with also the anti-Molten Core now coming in from Prophet. Trying to create some of that space, at least in that side room here, with this nano boost from MCD and the rally just trying to keep the Spark in this fight, keeping Bernard to hold the front lines. The rest of the Dynasty, they're bowing out, and the Spark could finally flip the point, but it's still being contested here, Jaws, despite Creative actually trying to stay there.
Yep, they do manage to take it in the end. Nice little bit of stall there from Tuyu. Nano didn't really do much. The fight was kind of over already, but now you saw him kind of burn down a turret. But just securing the fight with the Nano, normally the better of the two options there. Maybe chance it, not using the Nano. It builds up so quickly as there's so much spam damage coming out from the Seoul Dynasty's comp that was better for MCD to use there. And Bernard was able to get grabbed too.
They're just trying to call out Shy here, but instead they've called out MCD and IDK, 2 huge picks, because now currently the Spark don't have any other supports to hold on to this point. Look how pressured Bernard gets by Jester as he gets set up with that shield too. And the Spark actually have to evict themselves because the Dynasty are just moving their way in and taking control over this point, and they've gained that momentum again, Jaws.
That was a cheeky bit of movement there from Tuyu. He's kind of doing the Fury where he kind of quickly looks away then looks back with the Matrix, like whoom, whoom, whoom. He's trying to like 180 like constantly to just like, oh, my back's to you, you better grab, you know what I mean? Then he flicks back and he's but no, I wasn't falling for that one. I mean, both the supports were there. If he threw the grab in, he would have, I think it would have cost him this map. Pulse and grab available though. Mine's coming up as well. Like there's a lot of ults for Spark to make this fight worth it. They do end up getting touch as well.
And they do, oh, they need to stay on the point though. It was trickling down with Jester having that supercharger. trying to get into positioning, just weaving in and out. Bernard has that grab to be utilized here, but Prophet gets hacked, and now Bernard can get into position here, utilizes the grab, can burn down through that shield. The Immortality Field needs to go down first. TU eats a Pulse Bomb. It's been so on point with the eating here, but nobody can touch him the Spark. Seoul Dynasty, they're doing it, Jaws. They're only a round away from taking it over the Spark.
A complete reverse sweep for the Seoul Dynasty is on the table right now. This is ridiculous. Oh man, the Spark had all the tools they needed. They had the grab and the pulse, but the Immortality Field and the healing as well, getting pumped out from the Seoul Dynasty backline was just so good. Yeah, and the Nano Boost too onto Bernard. Like he was almost 100 energy with Nano. Like that's a lot of damage. They just couldn't make it work. They had to get through the Immortality Field, and then Brigitte exists, and then Batiste also chucking heals on there too. The grab was good. No pulse one follow up. No instant kill. Means no instant win.
Can't click the win out here, especially with all these tools that just did not work out for you. That's just not a great look here. Spark also feeling some of that energy leaving them potentially as they already try to get set up, and Architect's on the Pharah.
Yeah, I really like the Pharah here, because it's kind of a safety net almost for Architect. If Seoul Dynasty did end up running out with the Orisa comp, it's so easy for the Architect to get a lot of free energy, free damage down, because there's so much height you can gain, of course, just by being Pharah, but there's a lot of positions where you can take where you're not taking damage from the spam of the Orisa. MCD's in trouble. Nope, good sleep on the gesture. Instant hacked, he should be dead.
MCD also had some backup from IDK. Good try there, but it isn't going to hit the mark. With Jester going down, they're going to trade that for Gushwei, who's also down, and point is still going in favor, though, for the Seoul Dynasty.
Architect's near the Barrage too. Nano Barrage, in fact, available very soon. Oh, that was almost a double direct on a Creative. Does get saved by Animo. EMP.
EMP, though, huge EMP. That actually costed the support lineup of Spark. They're going to go down as the rest of the Dynasty can hold forward. Despite losing that DPS lineup, it doesn't matter. You got creative with those Discord orbs. You got 2U popping off, making sure Architect can't run away and let the IDK latch onto him.
Oh boy, that EMP was so good from Fitz, straight over the top, and then at the backline, Creative just sending them volleys of orbs. Oh dearie me, not a good situation for the Spark. They got a lot of vaults coming up, but the Seoul Dynasty have really made them work for this point. Although being the nature of control, like now is the time for the team that lost the first fight to actually take it back. Nano Barrage, he's trying to find somebody.
He's trying to find a support lineup, but he has to be careful. The rally's online from Minimo. He's trying to get into position. Meanwhile, Architect tries to pull the trigger on the Rocket Barrage, but they shut him down. Discord Orb 2, too much damage coming out. EMP onto Prophet. That's actually going to cause Prophet to go down. Another big anti now, this time onto Fitz and Creative. Fitz happens to get away, and Bernard has his Diva Bomb at least, as a Spark finally take the point for the first time of this entire map.
Nice little hack. I don't think it means anything. No, I think he actually still got mines off anyway, so he's going to be okay. Yeah, this first map, they finally end up taking control of the point. They did expend a whole bunch for it, though, but they're going to have Nano available rather soon. Fitz EMP, he just does exactly the same thing he does last time. Just try and get IDK or Architect. Just send them down to earth like a stone in water, and they should be good. MCD is going to have to be the savior here with this EMP. If the EMP hits one of the tanks, he just nanos them as a kind of a safety net to make sure they don't instantly fall down to both Fitz and Prophet, killing them.
Oh, nice Matrix right there, saving MCD. He happens to get away just shortly, though, as Creative actually goes in, finishes IDK just to make sure MCD can't get away. And Seoul Dynasty not only leading in numbers, but still applying so much pressure before flipping this point, already at 65% as they flip it.
Okay, they didn't even need the EMP, Vicky. They didn't need the EMP, and they got Rally coming up, and they got Self-Destruct coming up. Shy building up towards his own EMP. Like, this is EMP versus EMP in my mind right now, as long as Shy can actually get his online. If the Seoul Dynasty end up going fairly early here, this final fight territory, like, hands down. It looks like he's trying to go for it. Look, he's calling it out already. Seeing the player cam, he's ready to rock and roll. He knows exactly where both the pockets are.
These comms coming out. Fitz getting into position. Just trying to find the opportunity to nail this here. So it's getting contested. Architect has found both of the supports, though, from the Dynasty. They didn't know where Architect was at the time. He was too busy going to the back in a nice sleep, allowing Architect to get a quick 3K. And the overtime is ticking away, but it doesn't matter because the Spark successfully flipped the point.
Okay, the Spark end up getting it. That took so long for the Dynasty to actually set up there. We were on Fitz's POV for a long time. And he was kind of calming, and it felt like he was maybe trying to go for this upward air translocator straight into EMP to send one of the pockets down to the ground, and then they could just jump on them and kill them. Didn't end up working out, and Architect, he pulled the ultimate out a lot quicker and got a 3K. Following up from a nice sleep from MCD as well. Okay, another Final Fight territory. EMP hits both of them.
Actually gets IDK for it too. Does not let IDK get away. That means there won't be a res, there won't be a Valk, despite the EMP landing onto Fitz and Profit. Gushue having to be wary of the fact that they don't have a support as IDK has to come back from the spawn, doesn't have a latch because they got to stay on the point. Overtime ticking away in favor of the Spark right now, but the Dynasty flip it at the very end here. Now taking down Architect won't be in this fight, won't be able to hang out on that high ground, so at least maneuver themselves in and out. Comes Jester now rolling back in. 2U gets right back into the mech, and the Spark are just trying to get into position, but both these teams are just playing passively around the middle pillar.
Unbelievable eat there, just saved MCD's life from that pulse bomb. Spark is in a good position. They do have a lot of control, but Shy ends up going down.
Absolutely, with belly's full here. 2U now trying to get in the action. Both the supports are down in the Spark, with Banar having this nano boost, putting in so much damage. Now taking control. This series is so close right now, Jaws, and Spark have finally been able to build that foundation that they needed.
Oh, they've done it. They flipped over. OT, taken down. There we go. Full completion. It couldn't be any closer, Vicky. The final round to decide this series. Spark were in a very good position. Even though the Seoul Dynasty did manage to find the cap on that last fight, the Spark were able to not only peel for, well, it was Banar. I'm not even going to say Spark. It was Banar. Was not only able to peel for MCD, but he got the Nano, was able to engage on Seoul Dynasty backline with Gushue and find an extra couple of kills. Very nice peel from Banar. MCD was saved. IDK was free to then pocket Architect, and the Nano boost really helped seal the deal at the end.
I love the quick adjustment from Spark, especially with how slow they were taking that point too. Dynasty were kind of spread out a little bit. Looked like they fumbled when the EMP couldn't land in the way that they wanted. They lost IDK, or rather Seoul Dynasty finding IDK with that engagement. Still not getting much done because the Spark just finding those picks. You mentioned Banar, who's been an MVP. Architect taking a lot of damage, but IDK is right there to help pocket him.
Okay, so Seoul Dynasty going back to what they've been playing and have actually found success within this series. There's Orisa composition with Fitz back on the Kree. This is what they like to play, and it's been working out for them. Every time they try and mirror, it does not end up going in their favor. A nice anti-nade onto Fitz, but it shouldn't matter all too much. It is a very, very tough task to actually assault a point that has a Pharah on the defense, but if you take the point first, you are in the money.
Profit even managed to find Architect, just maybe flying a little too low here. I'm not too sure, but now the DPS lineup of Spark are gone. Meanwhile, Gushue still finding a pick with the pile driver. The Dynasty not only have control over the point here, Jaws, but now they have control over this team fight. They're just cleaning up around Spark.
Yeah, and Spark actually nanoed Banar there, thinking that they could actually turn the fight, but the whole of the Dynasty were just on top of them in their backline, and like you mentioned, with Architect going down early, they haven't got that like aerial suppression either with the rockets, that splash damage that would really punish the Seoul Dynasty for going for those aggressive moves. It was very much in favor of Seoul there. And with 50% online, and Window, and Supercharger coming up, Architect's going to have a hard arse trying to get onto this point.
Look at that too. Gushue also just trying to find position, but he's been able to maneuver his way and make sure that nobody can take full advantage of that Ant Matrix. Banar now getting the Diva Bomb pick off of Creative. That's going to be the initiation from the Spark to just engage here, but they've lost Architect. IDK having the Valk allows him to get Banar back in this fight. Justin won't have the Supercharger now instead. Gets to come back and utilize that, but you currently still have the Dynasty finding these picks. Animo finding Shy, now Profit finding IDK, just leaving MCD to fend for themselves. He tries to get away, but he can't get away in time as everyone else is funneled inside that side room.
god, it's like a 1v1v1v1v1.
Literally.
What is this? It's actually like the Gulag, like that very corner there of the map. There was a lot of peel there from Bernard once again on MCD. Kept him alive for a very long time, but the defense matrix only lasts so long as Prophet and 2U were just diving relentlessly on MCD. 93%. They didn't give up the point, Vicky. They got Supercharger, they got Rally, the Seoul Dynasty, they're looking good.
Waiting into position. Shy needs to land his fat EMP so that way the rest of the Spark can at least try to flip this once, but with so many tools, Shy doesn't land that mark. Only 2U gets hit with that EMP, and Animal's right there with the Rally. Now everyone has that Rally armor, and now the rest of the Spark are falling one by one. They couldn't even flip the point once here. Currently the Dynasty got the reverse 3-0 right now, Josh. They're just cleaning up the Spark. It's just a matter of time, and with that said here, they adapted, and they take it over the Spark 3-2.
Improvise, adapt, overcome. That's what I'm talking about. The Seoul Dynasty. They find a full reverse sweep. Oh my word, the Spark. Devastating, devastating loss. The first match in the Countdown Cup for them, and they get reverse swept by the Seoul Dynasty. Oh my word. The Dynasty just adapted so well. I mean, the Spark, they knew they couldn't run up against them with the mirror comp, Vicky. They end up pulling out the Orisa, this kind of bunker style with Fitz back on the McCree, who we highlighted so early on as well. Oh man, what a performance.
Yeah, I want to highlight just the fact that I was looking at the series originally, Jaws. I know we're talking a little bit about our expectations here, but this series in particular was tough for me to really kind of dictate here, just because of the fact that the Spark have been having those ups and downs where they feel like they pop off and then they don't the next week and then they pop off. And then I feel like when you take a look at the Seoul Dynasty, this is that one team in the APAC region that is neck to neck with the Hunters, another team that has been giving them a hard time. And right now, with the way that they were able to adapt, I'm really excited to see what more the Dynasty has up their sleeve, because that was great. That was a really good display of talent where they were just able to switch on the fly, change their composition, and actually get an upper hand on the Spark, who had that 2-0 lead. They just needed to take one more map, and that's it. They would have taken it over Dynasty.
Yeah, and the helm of that team as well is Gesture, who's going to be our Xfinity player of the match as well. This guy can play basically anything. Wrecking Ball was fantastic. His Monkey's really good as well. He didn't find him a success, although saying that, I say his Wrecking Ball's good, but in the mirror, not as good as Gushway's, it feels like. But his Orisa play this series is looking fantastic. Don't see a crazy amount of Orisa kind of player of the matches, but I think it's deserved here. His ability to take space and very aggressively use those superchargers too. The last two clips, you saw him jump forward, hit shift, and then, well, fortified. I put shield down, me use supercharger, let me just gun everybody down after that. Like, the guy was just killing everybody with that supercharger. It was ridiculous. Even this nice little flank here too. I didn't even see this kill, by the way. He just goes on the flank and just annihilates MCD, and it's like, wow, I got a pick, guys. You're like, well, you're the Orisa. Like, what? How'd you find that?
And pushing up too, just being able to get that space and get into position to prioritize that, I feel like was the name of the game for Seoul Dynasty. Although I liked how Jester looked today on the ball, but I feel like the last time I saw Jester on the ball, I wasn't a big fan myself. I much preferred the Orisa, and I feel like that's exactly what we're seeing here from this MVP. When it comes to Jester and the way that he could play Orisa, I think right now that's going to be the key when it comes to the Seoul Dynasty and what composition they want to aim for when it comes to the rest of the Countdown Cup.
Yeah, the Countdown Cup's shaping up to be quite spicy for sure. Again, a few little differences here and there between the regions. Gesture showing off as Orisa, 20k damage done, 76k damage blocked. I mean, Supercharger assists as well. Not bad whatsoever with 25. I mean, it felt like the reason why that number's not higher is because he was the one actually getting the kills with the Supercharger.
Yeah, I'm honestly looking at the Seoul Dynasty. This is a team that is up on top when it comes to the APAC region. So when you have those three teams, you got the Dragons, you got the Hunters, and you got the Dynasty. So these three teams you definitely want to keep your eyes out for when it comes to the Countdown Cup, because Jaws, I may mention of it already like twice, but at this point, we're already at the end of the season. This is the time to pop off, and we're seeing that currently with the Dynasty.
Yes, we are. We're going to jump to a quick break, though, guys. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a bit.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Xfinity, the preferred internet provider of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for some Pringles bold prediction now that the Dynasty have taken it over the Spark. I'm going to start with you, Jaws, because I'm still thinking about my bold prediction, although I got an idea here. What's going to be your Pringles bold prediction?
Sure. My bold prediction. You know what? The Seoul Dynasty, we're approaching playoffs. They're powering up. Profit is powering up. They're going to go all the way in playoffs. They're going to go straight to the finals. That is my Pringles bold prediction. Okay. There you go. Profit level 1, right? Maybe level 2 now. Maybe here's level 3 over the next couple of weeks, then level 4, then finally level 5 when we actually hit playoffs and you just go Super Saiyan.
You know what? My idea here may actually piggyback off of that, just because I feel like my bold prediction is going to be that the Spark are going to get their homestand advantage during Week 18, and they're going to beat the Hunters. And yeah, that's because right now we're looking at the Hunters and the Dragons as those two teams that are probably going to benefit the most out of this meta with the hero rotation going through. But yeah, with hero pools happening and those two teams leading the way, I feel like we could get an upset here from the Spark, especially during their homestand.
Yeah, I mean, I think that seems pretty reasonable. Homestand buffs, that is a real thing. Like, just playing in front of your home crowd with them cheering you on, no way that doesn't fire you up a little bit.
Yeah, as somebody coming in from the FGC, that was definitely one thing. Those power, dude, the screaming and the power up that you get from the crowd, it's on a different level. And the Spark right now, I'm really liking the way that they're playing. Despite getting reverse 3-0'd here, I feel like the Spark are honestly starting to figure things out a lot better. Although it took them a long time, and they went through some adjustments in their roster. They're still looking great as a team, although now with the Dynasty taking it over here, they got to make some of those changes. But don't go anywhere, guys, with our first series in the bag. NYXL are going to be facing off against the LA Valiant next. That's going to be Doa and ZP taking you through the rest of the APAC region. Thank you guys so much for sticking with Jaws and I, guys. We're going to be seeing you soon, and enjoy the rest of these Overwatch League APAC matches for the Countdown Cup.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles. Stay in the game.